and the angels ask me to recall the thrill of them all. Then I shall tell them I remember you.
Hey there, everybody. I think our first up is Bob Stewart. Bob, I'm going to add you in. And if you're ready, just get off mute and the floor is yours.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. And then anyone else, I have a Jim Pinkowski after you. And after that, anybody that wants to speak, just raise your hand or drop it in the Zoom chat that you want to speak, and I'll do my best to keep that order. Okay. All right, go ahead, Mr. Stewart.
All right, thank you very much for allowing me to speak my memories of Kurt. I had to write them down because there's so much to say in so little time. So if I go over 3 minutes, I apologize. But there's so much to say about Kurt. Thank goodness I'm not trying to introduce you to Kurt. We all knew him, that's why we're here. What I'm going to try to do is express to you the impact he had on my life. I first heard the name Kurt Reichenbach in 1974. I was in my high school office, and there was posted on a podium a tardy absent sheet. The sheet asked for your name, the reason you were late, and the date that you were supposed to be there. Kurt wrote his name. He wrote the date 1971, and the reason he was absent, he graduated. I thought to myself, who is this guy? I soon met Kurt and Wendell also at Church Youth Group. They both volunteered to teach Bible lessons, perform skits, and be involved with the youth. I found Kurt to be extremely funny and engaging. Yeah, did you ever meet someone that just tolerated you, did not have much to say, and wandered off to speak to others while you were talking? Well, that was not Kurt. He gave you your full time and attention. Kurt would throw parties at his house in Tacoma Park. He invited everyone. He would show movies all night long. This was back in the days when you needed an 8mm, super 8mm, 16mm film projector or a 32mm film projector. He showed cartoons, live action movies, and blooper reels. I never knew blooper reels existed before Kurt showed them. They were all clean fun. There was chips and soda and dip. No double dipping your chips, he would say. And never did I see any alcohol or drugs or smoking at his parties. I soon found out that Kurt was funny, talented, and a creative illustrator and photographer, a singer, a show host, a comedian, and supporters of others that performed. Either while visiting in person or over the phone, Kurt always made time for me. Kurt was the really cool big brother that everybody wished they had. Kurt did everything except plumbing and carpentry and electrical and auto mechanics, which brings me to his 1972 Chevy Vega. It was in parts at the auto dealer, and he offered to sell it to me. And I agreed, sure, I'll put the engine back together. And he said, come on, we got to make up a poster, car in tow. So trying to be funny, I said, spell tow, T-O-E. And Kurt immediately picked up on that. He said, no, I'm not going to do that. The cops will pull us over and they'll say, okay, you guys take your shoes off. I want to see this car in tow. Kurt could take anything that you said and make it even funnier. Even as Wendell and others have already said, he could make it even funnier. Kurt moved to California, but he came back to Maryland for Christmas and high school alumni. In 2001, I was lucky enough to be cast in a short film written and directed by Rick Schwartzwelder entitled The Least of These. And for the premiere in DC, I was able to invite 6 people. So besides my wife and my 4 children, because Kurt was back in town, it had to be Kurt because Kurt knew everything about movies and film. And to my great surprise, he knew a lot of people there at that premiere. He just went in and started talking to people and had a great time. In my enthusiasm to show Kurt that I could be funny too, when we would talk, I would take almost everything he said out of context and make a joke out of it. I could tell that this annoyed him, but he put up with it for a very long time, until one day he said in the middle of our conversation, "You know, Bob, sometimes it's really hard to have a conversation with you. Too much joking, huh?" He said, "No, way too much joking." I said, "What do you think? 1 out of every 5 jokes?" He said, "No, 1 out of every 25 jokes. And then think if you want to say that." And here's the important part. He didn't just walk away and say, "I have something else to do." He said in a kind and tender way, "You're really doing way too much." And it irritates people. He was really trying to say, "I still value you and your friendship." Kurt was never one to hold grudges or hold on to anger. Even when his coffee table book joke idea was stolen from him by a writer from the TV show Seinfeld. That's right, those of us on the East Coast heard him talking about that book back in the 70s, that when you picked it up, little legs would pop out from under and the coffee table book became a coffee table. Even when that idea was stolen from him, all he would say was, "Well, I heard that the writer that pitched it had not come up with anything good all season." And that saved his job. So there's that. I myself would have been very angry about that. But Kurt said, "That kind of stuff happens in Hollywood all the time. You got to get used to it." Well, that's a lesson Art Buchwald already knew. Kurt valued people, and he was very generous with his time. When my wife and I were going to LA for a cruise, and Kurt said, "Well, if you're coming to LA, why don't you spend another week? I'll show you around Hollywood." He took us to the Griffith Observatory. He took us to the Magic Castle. He got us tickets to see Jay Leno. I got to meet Jay Leno. We went down on stage to get pictures, and Jay said, "What brings you to California?" And without missing a beat, I said, "Oh, it was a big silver airplane. They had it parked down at Dulles Airport. Those boys that flew us here didn't have to pull over even one time to ask directions." I was so proud of them. And the whole room erupted with laughter. So I was telling Kurt this. I said, "Kurt, I told a joke, Jay told a joke, I told a joke, Jay told a joke." And then a little voice inside my head said, "Shut up, get your picture and sit down." I said, "Kurt, that was my wife telling me, sit down." And Kurt said, "No, that wasn't your wife. That was Jay sending you mental telepathy, telling you to sit down." Well, I got a call from Kurt about a year and a half ago. He said, "I'm in town and I wanted to see you." I said, "Great, let's get together and have lunch or breakfast or something, or dinner." He said, "Well, actually, I'm at the airport and I'm ready to leave, but I wanted to see you." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, the trip was so packed with, things to do and so many things to see and do, and I just didn't get a chance to call you, but I really wanted to talk to you." And that let me know that Kurt valued my friendship too. And about a year and a half ago, I started saying, "Kurt, I don't want to gross you out or anything, but man, I really love you, man. I think we should really start saying I love you to people more." And he said, "I love you too." And the last text that I sent him when he was in the hospital was, "Kurt, I love you, man." You have somebody special in your life, you should really tell them that you love them. You never know when they'll be gone. Thank you for letting me speak.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Robert. Next up, we're looking for Mr. Jim Pinkoski. Maybe. We'll let him regroup. I know Merlin was ready to speak. So, Merlin, I'll put you on the spotlight.
All right. Everybody's known Kurt in various lives of theirs. Some known him as a jazz singer, some as a graphics artist, and I've known him in all those various facets. It's been an amazing time together. One of the things that I texted Kurt the day that he passed away, I just wanted to just share that. And I said, Kurt, last time we talked, I said, I love you. You said, I love you too. I'm holding on to that. You've been one of my best friends for 43 years, since summer after I graduated in 1978. Kurt, you have brought me laughter, joy, and wisdom, comedy, music, creativity, design, graphics, writing stories, writing copy, clever lines, endless long detailed narratives, movie, TV knowledge, anything entertainment related, movie pre-screenings and premieres, SAG and DGA, movies, CD shopping, DVDs, eating Indian food and Thai food, and hanging out at all the little joints all around Hollywood. I moved to California in 1988, and you moved here in 1989. We spent almost every weekend doing things together for especially those first 11 years, and then less, but always a constant in my life, and we always leaned on each other. You always have always inspired me with your brilliance, excellence, attention to detail, and need to want to do more with your life. Always a new interest exploring another of your many talents in life. You first impressed me at our Valentine's Day banquets and shows in Maryland. You and Wendell were beyond amazing. I was in awe of your stage presence and incredible talent. Thank you for always inspiring me. I love you. And I was able to share that with him the morning that he passed away through text. And I was just grateful to be able to do that. I publish a music magazine, and he has helped me with the magazine, and he helped me interview. He came along with me and videotaped interviews with Grammy Award winner Melissa Manchester, with Steely Dan drummer, Rick Murata, and so many others. And he was also my videographer for my wedding. He was there always for me. And I just wanted to say a thank you to Kurt. I love you.
Thank you very much. That was beautiful. All right. I think that Joyce Keeler was next. And you're on, Joyce.
Thank you so much, Woody. I'll make this short and sweet. It's difficult after the song that Kurt sang.
Not dramatic.
It was very special, but I had the privilege of working with Kurt's mom, Jeanette, at a travel agency in Tacoma Park, Washington, D.C. line for many years. And the one memory that I have of Kurt, of course, I knew the funny side with Wendell, but one morning, Jeanette had forgotten something. I want to say glasses or something, and she needed them. And Kurt had an appointment that he was actually late to because he brought the glasses to her. And I told Jeanette, I said, I am so impressed. I know your son is the funny guy, but he's also caring enough to go ahead and, bring this to you. Jeanette loved all of her children, and I know that she'd be very proud of them, especially today. And Lisa, I'm looking at you, and you have grown into such a beautiful woman. And Carl and Bill, I just really am so grateful that this tribute was made available to everyone. Merlin, thank you so much for sending me the link. I shared it with so many friends that I'm getting texts from thanking me for sharing it. So God bless you all. And I love you. I know those are 3 words that can be overused, but not enough these days, for sure. Stay healthy, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joyce. Well, I'm waiting to see if anybody else would like to go. I have something to say too. So, so I know I have some glare on me now. The sun's just coming down on the window here. So I'm Woody. I'm Wendell's son, and Kurt is someone who always popped in at exciting times in my childhood. So anytime Kurt was in town, it was for a reason, and there was something going on. The main memories I have are the TA reunions, Tacoma Park Academy, and my dad and he would do these productions, these comedy routines. I'm sure many of you are familiar with them. And I was just a little kid, and I'd tag along, and I'd see my dad planning for these things for the weeks leading up to it, and writing these scripts. And commercial roulette was one of my favorite ones. And I just thought they were so funny, this creativity, and I'd memorize them, and I'd bring them to school with me and read them to my friends and all kinds of stuff. They do a YMCA, parody, and I'd have that on cassette and bring that with me too. And I just thought all that stuff was the coolest stuff. But Kurt would pop in, and it was like I never really got to know him too well, but I just loved him. The energy that he brought was phenomenal, and he brought the best out of everyone whose lives he touched, at least from what I could see. And I could tell that at a young age because I saw him do it with my dad. I could see, the energy and excitement and the creativity start to pour, and it was just so cool. It was just so cool. Kurt was a really inspiring person. I thought it was funny that, in the last several years, we became friends on Facebook, and I was like, hey, I'm going to start bothering my dad's friend on Facebook. Maybe he'll think the stuff I post is funny. And anyway, I really can't say enough about it, how special of a guy he was. And I know how much he meant to my dad. So I know how much he must mean to all of you. With that, if there's anyone else who would like to speak, I'll say this: just bring yourself off mute, and I will put the spotlight on you.
I'd like to talk. Hi, I'm Pamela Dubin. Kurt and I met at the SAD Conservatory when we both kind of moved out to LA. He moved out to LA a few years before I did. And I wasn't really prepared to speak, but I just, I wrote a little something in the chat. Just listening to everyone talk, I've heard all of these names through the years, through the last 30 years. And I know that that Kurt, I would just repeat what everyone said. He was kind, and he was generous with his time, and he was incredibly humble. If you think about it, he had an amazing voice. He never dropped names. He was a very unique individual in our industry, and everyone kind of felt like they were such dear friends of his. And I think he probably felt that way about every single person here. He was a very genuine man, and he loved to talk. If you ever talked on the phone with Kurt, he could expound upon any subject for a very long period of time. And I'm sure that he helped every single person on here with something to do with computers, because so few of us are technical. And if you think about it, he was a graphic designer. He was an amazing singer. He was interested in sci-fi, and he was interested in like the Magic Castle and the Writers Guild and the Directors Guild. I mean, Kurt was the ultimate Renaissance man, and we had tons of heart-to-hearts, and he was always there to help, always there to listen. He helped everyone. He looked after some older people in the building and elsewhere, and he just had such a big heart. And I think we all have such a huge, I don't want to say loss, because I feel like we're all blessed to have him in our lives, to have that, that kind of compassion and kindness and humor. I mean, he was funny and always helping someone. And I think that's reflected in the people who are speaking today and who are on today who aren't talking. I feel like we all owe so much to this kind and sweet and humorous man. Kurt, I love you so. And I know everyone here does too. Thanks. You leave the camera on me and I'm going to keep talking. So
Run.
All right, let's see.
You didn't talk all day.
Hang on.
Okay, I got Fran.
Oh, wait. This is Bill, Kurt's brother, and
Bill.
I'm not going to speak because I'm not sure how well I could hold it together. But my Aunt Ruth, who just turned 102 a few days ago, would like to speak. If you can find her picture on there, she's either there with
He's here.
Missy or Tammy, and you
Yes.
could, yeah, there.
It's Missy. I'm right.
Okay, there.
She's been wanting to talk.
Can I talk now?
Yes.
I'm so very happy to be able to talk a few words of Curtis in memorial. He meant the world to me. It started when he was about 3 years old. I taught Sabbath school, and the children would sing their little Sabbath songs. And I listened, I heard someone singing differently than others. Actually, they were singing harmony. So when they came in the room, she said, I'm in charge of all these children. Now I would like all of you women, all you mothers, not to sing. I just want the children to sing. I want to hear something. Someone is singing harmony. So we all stopped singing, and the children went on with their Jesus loved me. And all that. She went around listening, praising, and said, it's Kurt. He's singing harmony. When Kurt just screamed about that, harmony was so special to him. Music was so special to him. When you just say music, I think of Kurt. He was always the best musician I ever met. And I know now, when he got sick, something went out of our life. Our whole family just went to pieces. But we never gave up on God. We know that God was watching over Kurt, and we're continuing to watch over him. We told him that, and he said, I know that. He said, I know that God is watching over me, but I just wish he would hurry it up a little bit. We all got tickled at that, but we all felt the same way. None of us wanted to see Kurt go, but we didn't want to see him suffer anymore. And I praise God now that Kurt is with Jesus, and there's no more sadness and sickness in his life, and never will be again, ever. We look forward to the day which is coming soon, when we will all be joining together with Jesus and Curdy in the beautiful place of heaven. So Curdy, I'll be seeing you soon, and you know how much I love you. And thank you for everything in the name of Jesus. Bye-bye.
you. Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Just come off a mute. I see
Yeah,
JP Scott. Go ahead.
Hello. So Kurt was essentially my first friend when I moved to Los Angeles. He was completely invaluable in my life. I joined Hollyhock. We did an artwork and worked with him. Spent a lot of time in the Magic Castle with him. He was signed up on my trust account as the next of kin. He'd be sorely, sorely missed. I love him dearly. He provided joy, and I'm so sad that driving with Kurt never got off the ground. Because it would be a great conversation piece to comment on everybody driving and the problems of driving in Los Angeles. So I miss you, buddy. I miss Trombone Christmas with you. I miss a whole bunch of things. Thank you so much.
Ready. Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Okay, well, I think that's probably everybody. Oh,
hang on. I see John, Karen, Garner.
Okay.
Well,
hey there, you're on.
Okay. I just have so many wonderful memories with Kurt. I loved his passion for life and his wonderful humor and creativity. I'll never forget one time in church. It was an Easter service that we were all at, and we were sitting together. And when the offering plate came around, as it always does, at least one time during the service. Anyway, he pulled out of his camera bag some Easter bunny grass and some Easter eggs, and he laid them in the offering plate, and then he put his offering down, and it was just so cute. As it went through the rest of the congregation, everybody was laughing, and I'll just always remember him, and he always left me with a joyful warmth in being with him. And I look forward to the day when I see him again.
Thank you so much for that, John. Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? If you want to say something, just come off mute. I've got people still joining. Maybe they left and they're rejoining, but does anyone else want to share a memory or a tribute or a story about Kurt? Oh, I see Patty. Would you like to say something?
Yes.
All right, spotlight's on you.
Oh.
Well, there's Patty, and this is Randy. Patty's vocal cords are a little messed up, so I'm going to talk. Maybe. Well, I didn't plan on doing this. I met my wife at the Reichenbach house, and Jeanette fixed us up, and I love the whole family, and I love Kurt. He was a beautiful person, and I've been binging on his music. So I love you.
We love you.
Thank you very much. All right, is there any other takers? If not, Dad, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, I think if everybody's done, we wanted to make sure everybody that wanted to had a chance. And thank you so much for those of you who shared your memories and your feelings about Kurt with everyone. And again, thank you for all of you who came to be with us today. So keep an eye on
Hey,
your
Wendell.
weeks
Hey,
ahead.
Wendell, can I say something else?
Can you say
Hey, Wendell,
something? I think
this
you
is
said
Robert.
enough.
This is Robert Stewart. Can I say something else?
Yes, you may. Go right ahead, Bob.
Okay, unless you want to stop me, there's a certain story that someone made me promise to tell.
Yeah, no, not the story you texted me about. That's the one.
Oh,
Do you still have something
well,
else to say?
no,
Okay.
no, someone made me promise to tell that story.
Yeah, well, I made you promise. We decided against that one. So. Okay.
You're a big chicken. You
So,
know that, right? Oh,
we'll share it with people in smaller groups sometime.
okay. All right. There is one other thing I wanted to say, if I may. It's a different story. Maybe those of you out there know that our host today, Wendell Hill, had a very, very traumatic time a few years ago, having a liver that failed on him. And I would call Kurt and I would say, "Hey, have you heard from Wendell? He won't answer my phone calls." And Kurt would say, "He's not answering my phone calls either." So I called up Karen one day and I said, "Karen, why is Wendell not answering my phone calls?" And she said, "I don't know. He doesn't answer my phone calls either." So Kurt and I would, the only way I could get information about Wendell was to go to Kurt and say, "What's happening with Wendell?" And whatever he knew was happening with Wendell, he would tell me. Now, thank God, Wendell got a new liver, and he's still with us. We still have part of that iconic team. But Kurt and I were just bemoaning the fact that it looks like we're going to lose Wendell. And man, what a blow that's going to be. And isn't it ironic that 3 years later, we're having a memorial service for Kurt? I still thank God Wendell's here, but I just think that's, I don't want to say it's cruel, but it's the way life goes. And the blessings that we've had of having both Kurt and Wendell in our life, I think that both of them have made our life a lot richer and a lot like the salt of the earth. It's flavored our life and made our life way more living, way more worth living. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. That was very, very thoughtful. Appreciate your sentiments. Is there anyone else? We don't want to stop anybody who still might be out there, but I think everybody's had a chance now. Again, you can unmute yourself and say something more if you want. But we're going to go about another 10 seconds or so here. If we don't hear anybody, we're going to go ahead and sign off.
Wendell, I'd just like to say thank you to you and your son and for helping put all this together. This was wonderful.
It was
really wonderful.
Well, it's a labor of love because of the same reason that you participated. We love the guy that we were doing it for, and we love his family.
Absolutely. So wonderful to hear all of this. And I was just saying on your chat line, as much as I knew about Kurt, I learned so much more today that I didn't know about him.
You and me both. You and me both.
Fabulous. Unbelievable. Well, thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you, Jiggs. Anybody else?
I'd like to say one thing.
Oh,
if that's okay.
Hello.
Hello. Kurt was also, besides being kind and gentle and all those things, he was the eternal optimist. I'm sure you remember, Wendell, one time you and me and Frank and Kurt were at McDonald's in the car arguing about whether Frank and I could get married and make it work. And you were like, no way. And Kurt was like, absolutely you can. You both were in our wedding. Marriage didn't last, but Kurt was the eternal optimist that it would. I will always cherish all the memories I have with Kurt. There are far too many to even say, but you and Kurt were a big part of my life growing up.
Well, Candy, thank you so much for that. Now, I do have to correct you on that story.
What?
Because actually, I was the one that thought you guys were going to make it, and Kurt didn't think you were. That you were going to get.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't think you were going to get married, and we actually had a $20 bet over it. And we got married. I made him pay up the $20.
Oh, that's funny.
And then later, when it didn't,
giving it back to him later in life.
yeah. Later on, he said, you really should give that back to me. The bet wasn't that they were going to stay together. The bet was whether they were going to get married.
This was very nice. Thank you. And thanks for everybody for just being part of Kurt's life.
Yeah. Thank you, too. You were one of the four amigos there. My four amigos. I guess I was the fifth amigo. But anyway. We'll catch up with you later. Thanks, Candy.
Yes, we will.
Okay. Is there anybody else?
Hi, Wendell.
Yes.
My name is Betsy Newman, and I just want to offer a poem that I wrote many years ago that kind of stirs and reminds me a lot of what our beloved Kurt stood for, and the kind of person, the kind of man that he was, and will always remain in our hearts. And I titled this poem, "There Are Kind Men Still." There are kind men still, a few of whom I've known, in whose tender touch the silenced note of joy rings anew within one's soul. There are kind men still, in whose wild sincerity 1,000 smiles deny the pained past rite of passage to the present, eclipsing burdened sorrow with a brighter promised morrow. There are kind men still, in whose eyes one finds rest and a well-watered welcome into being, a being of such fullness and an ever so voice stillness that awakens seared ears to hear once more the great divine's rushing breath within and feel his drumming hands upon one's heart. There are kind men still, in whose words the honest heart reveals the unveiled truth of love, of faith, and hope. There are kind men still, in whose being vibrates the essence of eternal love, bearing their silent gifts of kindness, cloaked in joy-filled robes of laughter. Yea, their kindness saturates my soul. There are kind men still.
That was beautiful, Betsy. I'm going to ask a favor of you. When we get this website up and announce it, people will have an opportunity to go there and post messages or stories or, remembrances of Kurt. And I would like to ask you to post this. You may be muted now, so maybe I'm not hearing you reply, but I hope you heard the message.
I will stay in touch and thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Very beautiful. We got somebody else here. Greg Dean. Would you like to speak?
Oh, wow, you come at me so quick.
You're up.
I'm up. Yeah, I was a good friend of Kurt's. We went, he did a play with my wife, and so that's where I met him, and we started improvising together and just talking and getting along great, and we started hanging out, and he became my my graphic designer for almost everything after that. He was and he was also a friend, so we spoke a lot. One of the things that I've learned, first of all, Kurt was amazing at graphic design and stuff, because he's the only person I ever met that I'd turn him in an idea and he'd bring back things that were better. I've never, I don't know, there was just something about his eye. I just so completely trusted his eye after a while. It was, and he'd send me 4 or 5 different versions, and, there'd be some variation that was a little better. He'd agree, we'd do it, and behind me is that's the logo that he created for my business. We put together, and I don't know how he actually drew it on a computer, but he put if you can't see it very well, but it's a Greek happy mask with a graduation mortarboard on top of it, because I train stand-up comedians. And so it's kind of comedy knowledge is what we, and so he just, that's all over my website, all over my everything, because he's been my graphics designer for 20 years or more. What I really learned, though, about Kurt on kind of the more lighter side of this all, I don't know if everybody else had the experience with him or not, but when you called him up, was never a good idea to say, "How are you doing?" Because he is the only person that I ever met that took that literally. And he would tell you every aspect of his life at that particular point. And he would tell you, "I've never met anybody that would, how you doing? Fine. No, not Kurt." It was like, "Oh yeah, the Target building. Let me tell you about the Target building down on Sunset." And then he would take me into the whole shebang of that, and I would learn all about the Target building down on Sunset that he stopped them from building for a very long time. The suit that went, and so I had to learn as time went on. If I had time, I'd say, "How you doing?" because I was interested. And there are days that I was very busy. I'd have to say, "How's the project?" And he would just tell you about the project. So it mattered very much how you you learn to be very specific with Kurt, because that was one of the great things about him, is that he, and also, I don't know if you all knew it or not, but he was very specific in his opinions about so many things. And I happen to agree with him, so it was very good, but he was very clear. And so the ongoing joke was, because he had the answers for everything, was they didn't ask me. That was always to say, "Oh yes, they could have done this, this, and this. That would have solved the whole thing, but they didn't ask me." And that was the name of he wanted that to be the name of his autobiography. Nobody asked me. I had the answers, but nobody asked me. So I've had, so much good time with Kurt over the years. He's been to my parties, my birthdays, everything. We've gone to Disneyland. It's, so many really good memories with him. And then this really took me, so I've been really close to him and for a long time, through a lot of different women and a lot of different diets. Knowing about all of those things as, my belly goes, but it's that second belly just never quite goes away, Greg. I don't know. It's that second belly down there. When is it going to go away? So he'd always make me laugh with things like that because, of course, my business is comedy, and he was very, very funny guy. He had the things, and it wasn't telling you jokes. He just had a sense of humor and an observation of the world that was just delightful and funny and fun. And I always look forward to chatting with him and talking with him. And, so he is very, very missed already, and will be more so as time goes on because of, my delightful conversations with him on a fairly regular basis and in the future. And so it's, anyway, so the best that we can do is go, it was a life well led and a life we celebrate. And that we had time with him. Any time that we had with him was a time of, gratitude that I had that much time with him and had so many projects with him. And I still have so many memorials of him on everything that I work on now because of his graphics. So he's always around that way and always on my mind. So thank you for listening to that.
I got to add something, Wendell, to there was a comment earlier about the writer for Jerry Seinfeld that stole his idea. And that's not the only thing. The only gripe that Kurt had against Seinfeld. He also, do you remember his white Miata, his little car?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I was Kurt. Is that where you're going?
He came up with the idea that he was going to interview comedians and videotape it from the dashboard of his car.
I helped him put that together.
Did you help put it together?
Yeah, I was there. We were working on the camera.
And then we see Jerry Seinfeld riding around looking for coffee, the show on whatever it is on Netflix or something. And he says, he stole my idea.
Yeah. He did. Yeah, I was there helping him put those cameras in there. And
there you go. I mean, it would have been great. I would have loved to watch it on cable television.
He gave me a copy of the poster he made for it. He was ready to promote it. It was called Driving with Kurt.
Driving with Kurt. Yeah. And he thought it would be he was going to try to get Miata to sponsor it, because he had the little car.
And,
it was one of those two-seaters,
He had Fred Savage lined up to be the first guest.
That's right. I remember that. That's right.
And he
helped him with the production and on it. And we worked for quite a while.
No, I didn't realize it got that far.
His concept wasn't just, you wouldn't just be in the car. He says that it would be somebody famous coming along with me while I'm doing my errands, going to pick up my laundry and,
laundry, dry cleaning.
Right. It was clever. It was more clever than what, Seinfeld ended up doing. But,
exactly.
Greg, I wanted to comment on one of your stories. You were talking about how you dared not ask him how he felt. Well, it's interesting because or how he was doing, because when we were 14 years old, I was telling him that you couldn't say that to my great grandmother, because we said, "How are you?" She'd say, "Oh, she'd start telling about all of her health problems." And Kurt said, he's 14, but he comes up with this. He says, just off the top of his head, he said, "Oh, my arthromapulsitism is bothering me today." Somehow he did a mashup of all the possible, problems you could have with things not working, with your bones. And anyway, I was going to throw that out there today, and I had to start cutting stuff to make it fit. But, there are other things I cut because I wasn't sure if I should do it in front of the audience, but shouldn't share the stories in front of the audience. But sometime,
this memorial started at 3 o'clock Eastern time.
Yes, we didn't actually get started. It was almost 3:30 by the time we were actually ready to get started. People were still pouring in to the Zoom session, and we were running behind the scenes trying to get things ready. And so we ended up starting closer to 3:30.
Yeah, for some reason I just didn't see that, and I came in at 3 o'clock on Pacific time, which is where I'm at. So I missed a lot of good story.
Oh, so you heard the whole
thing? Can you all tell them again, please?
Yeah, right. Can everybody repeat that? Yeah. We are going to post this online, so if you missed
one more time.
Yeah, just one more time.
Good. That'd be a good thing. I feel bad. I didn't realize it was Eastern time. I would have been.
He's gonna put it up on a website later, so you can watch the whole thing later.
Yeah, right.
See, one of the other things that I always liked about Kurt was that he also, because he was from the East Coast, he said Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. That's was part of the vernacular. That's I listened to dialects and stuff all the time. That was the East Coast. Monday was always Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. No, not day. One Sunday, Monday. Was
Monday. Yeah, I guess we all do that here. Yeah.
It's one of those things that whenever he said a day of the week, it just I just noticed when he was talking and stuff.
Just like we on the coast are like, when you hear Southerner talking, it sounds very strange to us, but that's normal there. And, so anyway, I see somebody I recognize. Did you want to be seen? Karen?
Yeah, I did. So I just wanted to say that, do I need to pin it myself or?
No, you're on. You're in the middle.
No, I am. Okay. All right. Because I can't see. Anyway, I just wanted to say that Wendell and I wouldn't have met and probably married if it wasn't for Kurt loudly commenting that Wendell was bored during the reception at Mary Ann Kaufman and Bob Jones' wedding. So I guess we can thank Kurt that we met. And of course, have gotten to know all of the Reichenbachs, and I know we'll all miss Kurt a lot. Anyway.
Very nice. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I was following Kurt through a wedding reception through the crowd, weaving around. And I kept trying to get him to leave. We'd come there together, and I said, come on, let's go. And he said, why are you in such a hurry to leave? And he's walking in front of me, weaving through this crowd of people. So when he's talking loud enough so that I can hear him as I'm walking behind him, which meant that everybody else in the room could hear him too, in this giant big room. And he says, well, why are you in such a hurry to leave? And I said, because I'm bored. And he says, you're bored? And this lady here turns around and says, bored? Who's bored? And Kurt says he is, and then he walks off, leaving me stammering, trying to explain what just happened to this person I didn't really know. And I ended up with her phone number, and that was the end of things. So she's, I've been a kept man ever since. Jiggs, you actually ended up playing organ at our wedding. I don't know if you remember that.
That's right.
So there, you're sort of part of that story too.
Small world, isn't it?
It is very small.
And Kurt was in the wedding, but
yeah,
he was also our photographer, and he had two of his friends.
Well, one was Doug Warner, who talked today at the service, and he helped us put this together.
Wow.
And I'm at the reception thinking, well, who's taking pictures? Because I don't know these guys, Nobody bothers to introduce me to them. Anyway, so we have our wedding pictures thanks to Kurt.
Yep. And Doug.
Lots of things.
And Doug Warner. Yeah.
And Doug Warner.
The pictures we have that Kurt are in, we thank Doug Warner.
That's right.
Very good.
This has been fun. Anybody else want to add anything, or anybody else waiting to talk? I'm sure our crowd is diminishing some. I'm doing a quick skip across the top here to see who's still with us. Now I see Mary Ann Kaufman Jones still lit up there, so she was part of that story. It was her wedding that we met at that Kurt sort of got us together. I see all these faces that I know here. There's Doug. You're still listening to this too. So, Steve, how you doing, buddy? It's been a long time. And There's Susie. Oh my, Susie, how are you?
Hey, Wendell.
Hey, Rick, how are you doing, buddy?
Oh, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you. How have you been?
Well, God's good. He keeps blessing in spite of us, right?
Yeah. Hey, I just recently heard sad news about your brother and your sister-in-law.
Well, he's had a tough time lately here with our family, and that's one reason I wanted to say a little something on behalf of him in regards to Kurt.
Oh, thank you.
Because you know what a dear friend Kurt was to Bruce and Carol.
Yes.
All the way back to the Keystone days, and then on to the bread shop and the light company, and many, many other adventures that they shared. But there wasn't a gathering that didn't occur that Kurt wasn't the life of it.
Yep.
It was never quite the same without Kurt. And the level of talent and ability and willingness that he brought to the table was just always incredible. And what he was able to do with all that talent and all the joy and blessings he brought to people through his sense of humor. And you as well. I mean, you two are the Adventist version of Abbott and Costello. The skits and the vignettes that you put together, the way you all emceed and partnered together, it was just remarkable the way that you could put things together and to create so much enjoyment in a Christian environment, and to prove that Christians really could get together and have a good time. We could have clean jokes and a clean sense of humor and still celebrate the blessings of knowing Christ and being together. And the way you all brought that so uniquely to so many is a blessing that will live a long time, I'm sure.
Thank you so much, Rick. I appreciate that. And I'm sure Kurt would.
And I should also say I wasn't aware of your situation, but I am so thankful that you've survived it. And I know that with the way that this world is spinning so far out of control, each of us have lost loved ones and friends and family, and so many that have gone before us now. With the way this world is shaping up, I'm sure it's so close to seeing Christ return again soon that these folks now, I think it's just going to be a short nap.
Well, thanks again for sharing. And do me a favor, if you would, Rick, and give your brother a hug for me.
I'll be sure and tell him you said hello, Wendell. God bless you. And so many of the faces and names that I've seen this afternoon, Ken and Sally and Susie and so many others, I'll be sure to pass that on to him.
Please do. Tell him he can expect a call from me sometime soon, too.
I know he'll appreciate that, Kurt. Wendell, thank you so much. And God bless you and your family, and thank you for what you've done to pull this together for each of us this afternoon. This is one of the longest, probably most largest group therapy sessions I've seen in a while. So you've done a good job.
Thank you. I think it's been that way for all of us here. Thanks so much, Rick. Amen. Anybody else waiting to talk?
Hey, Wendell.
Hey, how are you doing? You're gonna
well.
I'm saying hi.
Yeah, well, I could, I'm Greg's wife, Greg Dean. He shared earlier. He's my
okay. So you're stepping out from the shadows there, right?
Yeah.
We didn't know somebody was lurking in the background.
Yeah, all that stuff. I just put that up just to share, my Kurt Reichenbach story. So I'm Gayla Johnson, and I'm an actress, and in Hollywood, one of those ones you might hear about someday. I don't know, but it was years and years and years and years and years and years and years ago. So I auditioned for a play that Kurt was producing and starring in, and I don't know if you remember, it was at that bowling alley in Ventura. Was it Ventura? But it was this little stage upstairs. It was fantastic. I was one of his actresses, and I think Greg came to the play and met Kurt after that. I guess that's where you met him from. I introduced you to Kurt. So that was a great thing there. And so Kurt and I just like, we stayed in touch. And what I want to share is that, so I'm just struggling doing my acting career, but every time I was on TV for something like a little co-star role or guest star role, the first thing I would do was call Kurt and go, did you record it for me? Because I need the video for my reel. Because he knew how to go and find anything that anybody needed. And you go to his house or go to his place and you sit there and he would like download it for me. And the best part, and then I'd get a copy, but the best part I realized is that Kurt had so many toys. He collects toys. I absolutely love toys. I got Barbie collection and Chevron cars. I got antiques and doodads. And so Kurt and I would sit and talk about all of his collection, and he never took them out of the boxes. And I think they were superheroes or they were figurines, or he just had a lot of stuff. And we would talk about his stuff and I would talk about my stuff. And then he had posters and expensive like billboard things he would just collect. And he was a collector of wonderful artifacts. And I don't know if he went on, eBay and traded. I don't know what he did, but he was yes, he collected.
Kept amassing it.
And I always envied like how he organized it and he kept it clean and everything. My stuff's in the garage. I haven't seen it for years. It's just like, so that's one thing I just loved about just talking about his collection and all of his computer knowledge and everything he could do. And he was a magician and to me, and then his songs, going and watching him perform over there and at the I forget it was at the place where he did this. I went a couple of times, watched him sing and everything. So just so multi-talented, just amazing. And he's a manager too. He could do that too. Just running the whole apartment complex.
Yeah. Right.
So man of many hats, affected many lives. And, gosh, he's in, heaven just got a new angel. That's for sure. So yeah, we'll miss him a lot.
Thank you, Gayla, for sharing that.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Anybody else out there that still wants to talk? Just when I think that there's nobody else, somebody else comes. So, and then the conversation gets lively again. So I don't know. I think we're just about ready to put a pin in it, and anybody else?
I wanted to say, I didn't realize Kurt did magic. Did he do magic with you or Wendell?
No, there might have been a once or twice when we did magic as a part of a proper comedy routine, but I wasn't aware of him doing that. He may have done it, and it just wasn't one of those things that he told me about. Remember now that I don't know everything he did on the West Coast. He was doing a lot.
I think that he didn't mean he was a literal magician. He was a magician with all of the ways that he was to do so many things so well.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
Yeah, that was my.
He wasn't pulling rabbits out of hats, literally, but figuratively he did that a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Anybody else? This has been fun. Getting to share stories from people that, in some cases, people that I knew and people that I didn't know. So, people that I heard about but didn't meet. Okay, well, I think that's probably it. I hate to say that's it, but I think that's it. So we will, again, we'll get all this online sometime. We want to enhance the video and set up the website and do it. So, once it's all ready to watch, we will send a notice out to everybody who registered with that link on Kurt's Facebook page or anywhere else they saw it to sign up for this service. We have their email addresses, and we will be sending out to that whole group an announcement when their website is up and ready to visit. The Kurt Reichenbach Memorial Museum, virtual museum. You know. So, in the meantime, I'll say one last time reminder: if anybody has a picture of you with Kurt or a picture of Kurt, send that to us. And I saw somebody put I think Merlin David put that email address in the chat. If you still have access to the chat. But I'll say it again. It's Kurt Reichenbach family @gmail.com. And you can just attach a photo if you have one or two or more. Attach them to emails. You can't send too many at once in an email if they're big files. But you can do more than one email if you need to. And send them to that address, and we will get them, and we'll get them posted. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Thank you so much for everybody. I'm going to go ahead and tell Woody to end the meeting. Are you still there, Woody? I haven't seen you in a while. Woody may have.
Yeah, I am still here.
There you are. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and close out the meeting now. Thanks to everybody again for coming, and hope to see a lot of you again sometime, or have a chance to talk at least. Thanks. Bye now.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Woody.
I remember you. You're the one who made my dreams come true a few kisses ago. I remember you. You're the one who said, I love you too. I do, didn't you know? I remember too a distant bell and stars that fell like rain out of the blue. When my life is through and the angels ask me to recall the thrill of them all, then I shall tell them I remember you.